Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This is my third video talking about baseball. I hope everyone who's watched the first two have enjoyed it. I got 7 whole views on the first one, so that was pretty cool. And it's the same day that I'm filming this. It's actually a nighttime video. I wanted to just have my big light off and just have my lamp, but it's kind of hard to see me, and I think it would be hard to see the teams, and I'm talking about the baseballs that I have. So I'm gonna have the light on, but it is nighttime, and I will film some videos at nighttime. So this is a video about unwritten rules, and this is a pretty, I don't know how controversial it is. Let me scoot over a little bit. I don't know how controversial it is anymore. I know that when, like in 2018, 2019, it was very controversial. And usually, it depended on how old you were. There are many unwritten rules, like you don't take too long to round the bases after hitting a home run, no bat flips, stuff like that. No swinging on a 3-0 count, stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of give my opinion on that because, controversial topic. See what I think. And I will say, I am a very old soul as a baseball fan. My dad tells me that all the time when we watch games together. I tend to hold some opinions from the older generation. But I would say that this is one where I kind of don't. And I'm going to talk about a few notable instances, things that stick out in my mind, and then I'll talk to you about my opinions on those instances and about unwritten rules in general. So first, we're going to talk about 2019. Now, in 2019, even though both the Reds and the Pirates were not very good, they had a bit of a rivalry going on. There were multiple fights. I remember Amir Garrett running off the mound and fighting some of the Pirates. And the Reds won 75 games, and the Pirates won 69 in 2019. And it was just interesting to me how these two teams didn't like each other. And part of that was Derek Dietrich's bat flips. Now, Derek Dietrich, I and many other people probably know him as a Miami Marlin, but after his time on the Marlins, he went to the Reds. He hit 19 home runs in 2019, and he did it with style. He had pimp jobs, as some people call him. He flipped bats, and people didn't really like that. Bat flipping nowadays is normal, and I would say doing more than bat flipping is normal. But even like 5-6 years ago, there were some very mixed opinions on this, and one that stuck on my mind was in 2019. The Pirates radio host said that Dietrich's grandfather, who played Major League Baseball, Steve Demeter, would be ashamed of him, and that he's rolling over in his grave. Now, guys back then were very anti-celebration on the field, not showing the pitcher, all that stuff. And maybe that's true, but I think that that's a very out of bounds, out of line thing to say. And Dietrich still flipped his bats, and I think that was part of that kind of helped people accept bat flips more. And I definitely think it was interesting that these two teams had a rivalry during this 2019 season because they both weren't very good. And that's kind of my first big memory. I'm sure that there have been some guys who have been thrown out for bat flipping before, of course, but that's my first big memory. Second big memory would happen the next year during the COVID year. It would be the Rangers and the Padres. Now let me find the Texas logo. I have this cool, there it is. I have this cool Texas baseball. I want to collect baseballs and have different, not just with these logos, but with different team logos and maybe something cool like this with all the stuff, This is a very American themed baseball. I got this on the 3rd of July at a Texas Rangers game. And then we got the Padres. In 2020, when there was no fans in the stands, it was like August, Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres were doing very well. Came to Texas where the Rangers weren't doing very well. And they're up I want to say 11-3 in the 7th inning. And with the bases loaded and a 3-0 count, 3 balls, no strikes, Fernando Tatis Jr. swung and he hit a grand slam. And that was against an unwritten rule. An unwritten rule is you don't swing 3-0 whenever it's a blowout. And I always thought that was really stupid, and I did not like Chris Woodward, the Rangers manager, after he pitched a fit about that, because, I mean, you should not punish somebody for trying to score more runs. And I understand not wanting to do excessive things to show people up, but swinging the bat is not an excessive thing. And I just thought the whole situation was very dumb. I didn't think Tatis needed to apologize at all. And yeah, that's one of my least favorite unwritten rules, not swing 3-0. You know, game's never over. And it happens very rarely, but imagine a team that's up 8-9 runs ends up blowing a massive lead because they didn't want to embarrass the opponents. That seems pretty stupid to me. And I don't have the White Sox and Twins baseball out, but I remember the next year in 2021, Yermin Mercedes, who was like a Linsanity run in baseball, started off really well, came out of nowhere. Yermin Mercedes swung on a 3-0 pitch and hit a home run against Williams Astudillo, who was a position player, not an actual pitcher. And I guess I kind of understand that more, but the way Tony La Russa handled it was really dumb. He said that he didn't care that people threw that a Twins pitcher threw at his player, and I just don't believe in any manager ever throwing their player under the bus, even if they don't like it. I think it's dumb for him not to like it, but it's even dumber for him to make that public. Some people say that Yermin Mercedes' career is ruined after this because he stopped hitting very well. I don't really believe that. I think that he was just really good for a short period of time, and he just was never going to be that good again. And because, you know, this is baseball. Guys have streaks like crazy and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't believe that at all. I do think that Tony La Russa handled it very poorly, and it kind of, I mean, there are more issues with Tony in his White Sox tenure, but that kind of showed me why you usually don't want an 80-year-old man to be your manager, because he's very out of touch. Last but not least, we got the Cardinals. Now, this one was, I believe I was alive, but I was probably a little infant when this happened. I remember hearing or reading a story about Jimmy Rollins. Now, Jimmy Rollins, famous short baseball player for the Phillies, and he hit a home run off Steve Klein, and he had a little bat flip, and this was like 20 years ago maybe. He just, you know, he didn't like throw it crazy like that. He just like little like that, and the pitcher Steve Klein threatened to hit him and called that little league shit. And I know that it was a different time back then, but that's just very, very soft in my opinion to be upset at. I mean, at a bat flip at all, but just a little tiny bat flip. I know that it was more normalized to hate on people who flip their bats and stuff like that, but I always thought that was really, really dumb. And I never watched Steve Klein pitch, but I never just liked the idea of him after that, because if you're that sensitive over something so little happening, you know, don't give up a home run next time. And I think, and now I'll talk overall, I think that is a fair thing to say. Don't allow a home run if you don't want someone to celebrate. And I do think that back in the day, it was a little hypocritical, at least like in the mid to late 2000s, early to mid 2010s, that pitchers could pump their fists and yell if they struck a guy out in a big spot. But if a guy bat flipped off them, no, that's too far. They can't celebrate, but the pitchers can. But I also do think that there is such thing as going too far. I don't think that slow trots around the bases or excessive celebration is electric like some people do. I think that that's a big like generation alpha thing. I mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I just don't think it's electric, or like, I think eventually you have to just run around the bases. And I do think that like Carlos Gomez, when he and Brian McCann had their whole incident, and McCann blocked the plate. I get it. McCann was the fun police. He enforced the unwritten rules, but I do think Carlos Gomez was wrong in that situation. And it's fun to hate on McCann because he was a 2017 Astro, but I think Gomez was in the wrong, yelling at people and stuff like that. I don't think that there's no reason to be a dick about it. You can celebrate without being a dick about it. And I think Gomez is being a dick about it. Although that's not me defending Brian McCann. I don't really like Brian McCann. I just don't think he was wrong in that situation. I do think there have been many situations where he was, but not that situation. And I do think that it's all in moderation. I don't think that crazy yelling while you're running around the bases, and stuff like that. And running really slowly, or running if you're going slow, you're not really running, and running really slowly and all that. I don't think that's electric. First of all, there's so many people who are like, that's electric, that's so cool. But I think there's a way to celebrate without being a dick about it, and I don't think that either side should be jerks about it. And that's really been my opinion. If you think that this is like a old man opinion to have, I understand. I know that celebration has been very encouraged, and I do think that that's good. I do think that we had it too far in one direction, but I do think it's possible to go too far in the other direction. But I don't think that other direction has happened. And if you think that I have an old man opinion, you should hear my dad. Randy Arozarena hit a home run in like April of this year, earlier, and Arozarena stopped at third for a second, and that set my dad off. He did not like that. It's like, he said it was like showing the pitcher up, and that getting all the attention on him. I disagreed with that. I do think attention should be on you if you hit a home run. So yeah, those are my thoughts about unwritten rules. I think the majority of them are dumb. I do think it's possible to go too far in the other direction. And I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did like it, leave a like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I don't want to be somebody who like incessantly, before everybody, like, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe. Because I do want this to be like a kind of side thing for me. I don't want this to be my real job. I want to have like a real job, but have this be like a fun hobby that I can maybe make a few extra dollars off of if I ever get that big. So if everyone enjoyed this video, I will always have more videos. I have plenty of ideas, never run out of ideas, and I hope you can catch me in another video again soon.